Hey everyone, I'm Janshi Agrawal and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we will discuss about 5 common mistakes which leads to our rejection in the interviews. Along with, we will also discuss how we can avoid those mistakes. And in this video, we will cover everything from communication to dress up when we need to attend physical interviews, and we can't predict what interviewer is going to ask, but there are some most common questions which are asked in almost all the interviews. So it will surely benefit you if you can prepare the answers to those questions beforehand. So we will also discuss about those questions, and do watch the video till the end if you don't want to do these mistakes in your next interview. So without wasting our time, let's get started. But before starting the video, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then do subscribe to it as we are planned for more such amazing content. Now, the very first mistake which students commit is being late. So you should never get late for your interview. If your interview is in offline mode, so do reach the venue at least 30 minutes before the interview timing. And if it is online mode, then do check the system compatibility and network at least 10 to 15 minutes before the interview timing. But why? Because in this way, you will be able to keep yourself calm, and it will also help you in reducing your anxiety. Because let's suppose if at the very last moment you get stuck in the traffic, or you get to know that your network is not good, then it will just create unnecessary last moment nervousness for you and nothing else. So do reach the venue or do join the interview link on time. Do check your system compatibility, network, everything before the interview. Now the second mistake is bad communication. Now here communication is not specific to language, like you can't speak in English. No. Here communication means that you can't express your thoughts. You're unable to speak confidently and fluently. Your interviewer is unable to understand your answers. You're unable to understand your thoughts. As a result, it created a communication gap between you and your interviewer, which is very problematic for your interviews. Because if either you are unable to express your thoughts or you are unable to understand what interviewer is trying to say, then it can create a lot of problems. And generally, most of the big tech companies conduct their interviews in English, like Google, Microsoft, Amazon. And in companies like Google, they have their engineers from US or UK who don't know Hindi. So for the jobs like HR or consulting, so they are somewhat client-facing jobs which requires English. So your fluency in English becomes a little bit more important for these kind of job roles. So it's better if you don't know English or if you can't speak English fluently, then it's better you can start practicing in front of mirror, or you can start talking in English with your friends, or you can start watching movies or series in English, so that you are able to understand English as well and speak English as well confidently and fluently both. And if you're not good in English, then it is not an embarrassing thing. You don't need to be embarrassed about it. And all these steps which I have mentioned will surely help you in improving your spoken English. Now, the third mistake which most of the students do is not knowing about the company. Now, as a candidate, I can understand that we fill so many applications every day that knowing about each and every company is almost next to impossible. But at least do read about the companies for which you are interviewing. You should at least know how is the company culture, what does that company do, what are the products of that company, what services that company provide, who are their customers. Because if we talk about companies like Atlassian and Amazon, so they have their own leadership principles. Like Amazon has 16 leadership principles and Atlassian also has their own. So they test you on those leadership principles in the interviews. So if you don't know about those leadership principles, then you will not be able to answer the questions around those leadership principles in the interviews. And it might create a negative impact in the interviews. So it becomes necessary to know about those leadership principles. So as a result, you should know about the company you are interviewing for. Now, the fourth mistake is not preparing for common questions. So there are some most common questions which are asked in almost all the interviews. And for such type of questions, we should never think that we will answer them randomly at that moment. We should prepare the answers to those questions in advance. But why? Because at the time of the interview, our nervousness and anxiety level is at peak. So thinking about the best answers to those questions at that moment is a little bit difficult. So I think you should prepare answers to those questions in advance. Now from 4 to 5 such questions, the one is tell me about yourself. Now in its answer, you don't need to mention your complete history. You just need to show your professional journey, like where did you work, what was your tech stack, what was your college, your degree, your projects, your hobbies. So you need to showcase your complete professional journey. And if you want to know in detail like how to introduce yourself in an interview, so you can watch this video as well. I have made a detailed video on how to introduce yourself in an interview. Now, the second question, which is also asked in many interviews, is tell me about your biggest strength or weakness. Now, the answer to such questions should not contain only buzzwords, but you should also have facts to justify those buzzwords. Like if you're saying that I am a good team leader or I am a good multitasker, then you should have scenarios from your work life, from your professional journey to justify that, yeah, you are a good team leader, yeah, you are a good multitasker. So you should have scenarios to justify those buzzwords. Now, some more behavioral questions which are asked in interviews are related to teamwork, collaborations, more or like situation-based questions. So you can prepare answers to such questions in advance. And you can prepare answers to those questions by using the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and result. Like what was the situation? What was the task you need to do in that situation? What action did you took? And what was the result of your action? Now, the fourth type of questions which are asked in every interview and they are asked in the end of the interview is, do you have any questions in mind? So for such questions, there are a lot of candidates who say that, no, we don't have any questions. So never do this thing. Do have some meaningful questions in your mind beforehand, which should show your interest in the role you are interviewing for. You can ask regarding company culture, values, challenges, their work, and it will give you two benefits. One, and the very important, that interviewer will have an image that, yeah, you are interested in the role. And second is you will get to know about the company more. So we should know the answers beforehand for such commonly asked questions in the interviews. Now, the fifth mistake is not dressing up professionally. So whenever going for physical interviews or even for online interviews, you should wear a light color shirt which is simple and with minimum prints or checks. And if you're going for physical interviews, then your dress up should be formal, with trousers should be of darker color, shirt should be of lighter color, and with formal shoes. And in online interviews, if you're interviewing for technical roles, then you can also wear a simple t-shirt. That's all. So yeah, these are the some things which can sometimes either make or finish your interviews. So you can avoid these mistakes which could lead to your rejection in the interviews and succeed in your next interview. And I hope you will not be repeating these mistakes which I have covered in this video in your next interview. You will be avoiding these mistakes and will make your next interview more fruitful. So yeah, that's all for this video. And if you really like the video, then do like, subscribe, and don't forget to share it with your friends. We'll meet in the next video. Till then, keep learning and stay curious.